What's up, y'all? Alvin here. Today we are going to discuss the best rod to catch bass on the fly. And the answer is probably gonna surprise you.
I tell the good jokes.
Okay, so why should you even listen to my opinion? Well, I've been fly fishing for bass for 48 years. I've been a bass on the fly guide for probably 30 years. And I own a fly fishing guide service here based in Austin, Texas, All Water Guides. And we have up to a dozen guides who fly fish for bass and redfish. So I know a little bit about the subject matter. All right, so let's get into it. I have three things that I think about when I'm deciding on what's the perfect bass rod. That's the what, the when, and the where. So the what other rods do you already have? So if you already have, a 4, you probably want to jump up to a 6, or if you have a 4 and a 6, you probably want to get an 8. If you have a 5, you probably want to jump up to a 7, from a 7 to a 9. The idea is that you should skip a line size so that it really makes a difference. So if you have a 5 and you decide you want to bass fish, it's okay if you get a 6, but it's not going to really be a noticeable difference from your 5 weight. So the first thing is, what rods do you already have? If you feel like you need to go heavier, then skip a line size, and that's going to be a good way to kind of start weeding out the choices, weeding out the options, and figuring out what's going to be the perfect bass rod for you. Okay, so the next thing is the where, and that could be whether you're fishing small streams, or you're fishing, large rivers, medium-sized rivers, lakes, farm ponds, that type of stuff. So deciding where you're going to be fishing for these bass will make a difference when you decide what rod to get. So typically, if you're fishing smaller water, you can probably get away with some smaller gear. Small streams, 6-weight rod's going to be fine. If you're fishing larger streams, rivers, medium to large size rivers, or fishing in lakes, you'll probably want to go with at least a 7-weight. And the reason is so you can throw some larger flies. Typically, your chances of running into larger fish are going to be in the larger waters. Also, you may want to throw sinking or sink tip lines, and typically those are going to be made for rods starting in the 6-weight and up. For us, being able to throw a weighted fly on a sinking tip line is pretty important, especially during the winter around here or in the rivers with faster current. So I would say 7-weight and up would be a good place to start if you're going to be fishing some larger water, and a 6-weight's probably going to cover you for most of the stuff in smaller streams, ponds, and maybe some small lake fishing. Let's move on. But before we do that, hopefully you're getting some value from this video, and it's free. So there's a couple things you can do to sort of pay me back. One would be to subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up. That really helps me out a lot. That helps these videos get out to more people. The other thing is you can subscribe to my email list. There's also a link in the description there. And that way, if YouTube goes away tomorrow, social media channels come and go, but email pretty much forever. So sign up for my email list, and I won't spam you. I send emails out occasionally about things I'm doing, trips I'm putting together, that type of stuff. So yeah, help me out. And hopefully I can help you out. All right, next thing to consider is the when. So when are you going to be fishing? If you're in a place like we are in Central Texas, it's year round. So you want to be able to cover all your bases with this bass rod. So that's everything from throwing poppers, streamers, weighted streamers, to sinking and sick tip lines for fishing, getting down deeper in the lakes or getting a fly down in some fast current. So once again, we're probably going to go for a slightly larger rod, 6 weight at the minimum, more likely a 7 or an 8 for us, for when we're fishing, which is all year. Now, if you live somewhere that you have a limited season for the bass, so you're only going to catch them during the summer, then once again, I think you can probably get away with a lighter rod, because typically if you're fishing during the warmer months, the bass are going to move into the shallower water, so you're going to have a lot of opportunities to catch them, on top waters, slow sinking streamers, that type of stuff. And hopefully you won't have to throw any sinking or sink tip lines or big weighted patterns. So you can probably get away with a lighter rod, so a 6 weight. All right, so the when, what time of year you're fishing year round, you're fishing just certain times a year. I actually know people who only fish for bass in Central Texas during the winter. They've got other things going on during the summer. Maybe they're in the mountains during the summer, and then you might want to have that heavier rod, that 7 weight, that 8 weight, even the 9 weight, depending on how big these flies are, how fast you need to get them down, and how big a fish you may end up hooking. So that's the basics. That'll help you kind of narrow it down and decide on the best rod to catch bass on the fly for you. For me, it's probably gonna be a 9-foot 7 weight. I can throw some pretty big flies. I can throw all the sinking and sink tip lines. And if I was gonna have one rod, if I was gonna buy one rod to fly fish for bass, it probably would be a 9-foot 7 weight. Now, like I said at the beginning of the video, the best fly rod for bass, and this may surprise some of you, but the best one is the one that you already have. I don't care if it's a 4 weight, a 3 weight, a 5 weight, whatever, a 10 weight. Take it out, and if you're just getting into bass fishing, before you spend a bunch of money, just make sure that, number one, it's something that you really want to do. You've got access to it. It sounds like fun. The other thing is, when you get into it and you do it for a while, you'll figure out what you need. So like a lot of this stuff that I talked about earlier in the video will make more sense to you, especially if you're just starting out fly fishing for bass. So just get out there with what you have. I've caught plenty of bass on 4 and 5 weight rods, even 3 weight rods in certain circumstances. And you don't have to go out and buy a new outfit just to go fishing for bass. All right, so hopefully that helped you out, helped make it a little bit easier to get into this bass fishing game. It's a ton of fun. I've got a bunch of videos about fly fishing for bass. You can look through my channel. I've got hundreds of videos, and a lot of them are fly fishing for bass. Thanks for being here. Hopefully I will see you in the next one. And if you want to see what my 5 favorite bass flies are, you should check out that video right there.